Our scripture readings today are taken from Ecclesiastes and Thessalonians. My first scripture is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 1 through 2. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the sun, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. My second scripture is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18. Be joyful always. Pray without ceasing. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. Thus ends the reading of our scriptures. As we prepare for this Thanksgiving holiday, I was impressed by Spirit to speak about living in gratitude, acknowledging our blessings and all that we have to be grateful for. Our scripture says, to everything there is a season, a time to plant and a time to harvest, beginnings and completions. And these are the cycles of growth. Our energies are now shifting from a time of preparation and growing and harvesting to a time of reflection and introspection, to a time of enjoying our harvest and a time to pause and reflect upon what and how we have grown this year, to reflect upon all that we have to be grateful for, and also to consider ways that we can share of our plentiful harvest and our blessings. For me, it feels as though I've been living in a bubble for the past 7 months. And I'm still having a hard time believing that it's the second Sunday in November and that Thanksgiving holiday is only 2.5 weeks away. For many, this year's holiday will be celebrated a little bit differently, as we are being cautioned that we are entering a second stage of the pandemic and we are being asked to limit family gatherings. Many will celebrate this Thanksgiving in smaller gatherings. Now, I urge you not to get caught up in the numbers. It's not the number of people that sit with us at our table, but rather it's whom we are sharing our table with. Small gatherings are warm and they're intimate. It's about quality time together, regardless of the size of the gathering. This has been a challenging year for our country, for businesses, for our families, and for many of us. Some people may be struggling with the concept of how can I be thankful amidst all these challenges we faced in 2020. Here is where we stand at the fork in the road. We can choose to see the proverbial glass as half full or as half empty. The settlers that came to this country more than 400 years ago left their homeland to build a better life for their family. And it wasn't a simple path for them. They didn't get on an airplane and fly from wherever their homeland was to the US in several hours, get off the plane, take the Uber to the hotel, order room service, and settle into a nice warm bed for the night. No, their path wasn't quite that easy. Their path was much more cumbersome, and they had many hardships along the way. But they stayed the course. They endured. They never lost hope that tomorrow would be better. And they taught us to take the time to be grateful and to recognize the blessings in our life. They came together to celebrate and share in their harvest, to show their gratitude. This is the season of thanks plus giving. Perhaps instead of seeing the glass half full, we can vision it as overflowing. We have so much to be grateful for. We have a warm roof over our head. We have food on our table. These challenges are part of the cycle of growth. And yes, there have been many challenges this year. But if we look deeper, it is these challenges that bring forth our inner strength and make us even stronger. We persevere and we find a way to face our challenges head on. And as we do, we become even more resilient. And for this, we are grateful. When we were faced with the pandemic in late February, we were forced to make drastic changes in our daily lives. Many of us like routine. It is comfortable and it is familiar. But we had to let go of our routine and we had to make adjustments. It is this change that leads to growth. Letting go of our old ways of thinking, doing, and being to make room for the new life. For those who listened to one of my services earlier in the year after the pandemic had just begun, I posed this question to you. Who will you be when this pandemic is over? Will you be the same or will you be better? In the face of adversity, we realize how strong and resilient we are. And for this, we are grateful. The changes we were forced to make may have been uncomfortable, but maybe, just maybe, they were necessary. Perhaps this was the universe's wake-up call. A wake-up call to reevaluate our values and life path. On one hand, our reliance upon the information superhighway and internet access grew as many transitioned to working from home, taking online exercise classes, or found a way to stay in touch with their family and friends through online services such as Zoom. But on the other hand, our life shifted inward. It shifted inward towards core and family values. Parents working from home or spending time with their children, and families were sitting down at the dinner table together. Some of my coworkers shared stories that they hadn't had dinner with their family during the week in a very, very long time. This pandemic brought the family unit closer together. For this, we are grateful. We watched in the evenings as parents walked their dog and the kids were riding along on their bike or being pushed on the stroller. We sat out on the deck one night and Reverend Jackson and I were discussing how happy these children were to have quality time with their parents. For this, we are grateful. I have had the same routine for over 35 years, going into the office every day and working long hours, sometimes leaving the house at 7 a.m. and getting home at 8 to 9 o'clock at night. During the pandemic, I started working from home, and it forced me to get off the merry-go-round, to catch up on much needed rest, and more importantly, to stop and smell the roses. I realized life was whizzing me by, but I had made little time to enjoy it. And one day I was walking at lunch through the neighborhood and I thought, what feels so different? What feels different? And I realized what felt different was I had not been home in the middle of the day like this for over 40 years. And I am so grateful that life forced me to hit the pause button and to reevaluate my priorities. Neighbors stepped up to help neighbors, and particularly the elderly, so they could be insulated from this unseen virus. Folks posted on our listserv that they were making a trip to the grocery store, and they asked them if they needed anything that they could pick up for them. Even in the face of adversity, we show our true colors and the goodness and kindness of our hearts. Neighbors helping neighbors. For this, we are grateful. In the solitude of our homes, many of us found the stillness in our mind. The world slowed down, and we had more time to reflect and to listen to this inner voice. For this, we are grateful. At AMC, our Sunday services have been offered on Zoom since the pandemic began. We were forced to make a change, but this change, it opened the door for our growth. And now, those outside of the Washington, D.C. area, or those who just simply couldn't make it to church, they're able to join us. And for this, we are so grateful. So even in the midst of the pandemic, there is much we have to be grateful for. Scripture says, be joyful always. Pray without ceasing. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. This is the holiday of giving thanks and of giving. And as we prepare for this holiday in our morning meditation, or perhaps while we're sipping that morning cup of coffee or tea, take a few moments to pause and consider all that you have to be grateful for. Write it down on a piece of paper. Think about it as you go through your day. As we live in gratitude, our focus shifts from seeing the glass half empty to envisioning it and seeing it, that it is overflowing. Living in gratitude opens our eyes to how blessed we truly are. When living in the divine flow, our abundance is unlimited. And also, consider how we can give back, how we can share our blessings with others and with our community. As we share our abundance, even greater abundance will come to us. This is the flow of the law of attraction. There are many ways to give. We can give of our time, of our energy, or our prosperity. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say it anyways. The world is in great need of healing right now, and particularly after this election. Send the energy of peace and love to the world to help neutralize the tensions in this country. During this time of thanks and giving, focus on all you have to be grateful for. Enjoy the intimate gatherings and treasure each moment that you have together. Many blessings to you and to your families during this Thanksgiving holiday. In everything, give thanks, for this is the will of God. Namaste.